Good morning, everyone. This is the first meeting of the Election Law Subcommittee. The date is February 20th, 2025. Thank you to the members of the committee for their timeliness. We're ready to get started. Since this is our first meeting of the year of the legislative session, I do want to mention a few reminders and items. We do always invite the sponsors of the bills as a courtesy and notification that we will be discussing their bills. And I see Chair Corman is here. Thank you for joining. We don't have further testimony from the sponsors, but they could potentially be called on if we have any questions or clarification. We also invite advocates to join if they wish. Again, they're only to speak when called upon and if called upon. And pretty much everything else is the same drill from the last couple of years. So thank you to this hardworking group. We are going to go ahead and jump into our bills. Since the chairman is here, we'll actually start with his bill first. House Bill 412, local boards of elections and boards of canvassers, open meeting requirements. This bill includes several different provisions that relate to ensuring that there is streaming and transparency when it comes to our boards of elections. Some boards of elections are already doing these items, but we know that we have challenges in some boards of elections when it comes to making sure that documents are available, that we have a record of video, and that streaming is taking place. I'm going to ask Stan to please walk us through the potential amendments to House Bill 412, and those should be in your emails.
Sure, Madam Chair. So yeah, the amendments basically remove the provisions that would require a live stream of the canvass of votes after the election. So the bill with the amendment would just require that the meetings of the local board where they cover routine business, those would have to be streamed and recorded. But the canvass of votes where they actually go through the provisional votes and the mail-in votes, that would not have to be live streamed and
Is Mr. Demarinis, can you please, I think that you had some thoughts on this and you may be the part of the source of the amendment, so if you can chime in and say more.
Sure. Yes, there's been a couple of issues with the canvas. Just on a technical standpoint here, canvassing is not necessarily done in one location in the building. There's multiple rooms that are utilized. We did that. We brought you to the Howard County canvas the last time there, and you saw how many different rooms. It's an open process. The ability to have people witness and the public be there is always present, but technologically to have all the cameras there present would create a lot of challenges. Additionally, this would also be a little bit of a burden on some of the Eastern Shore counties and the Western counties as well for this. And then there's just privacy issues with the ballot and names and signatures being on live streamed as well for with the canvas portion of it. And then finally, the canvas itself in this day and disinformation could be used in untoward methods to cast doubt on election integrity. So with those, I appreciate the concept that the Chair Corman was thinking of and bringing in the process for it. But these were kind of a little bit of our concerns with it, and we're 100% committed to making sure that all the meetings are live streamed and recorded, because that's where most of the heat of the matters are discussed.
Thank you, Mr. Demarinis. Delegate Miller, Delegate Griffith, Delegate Fair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just a quick question about the minutes and the open meeting. So the minutes will be the video, or the minutes will also be transcribed?
I believe it's the latter.
Okay, they'll also be transcribed. Okay, because this, I just have a overall concern about, we've been moving to taking very summary minutes and not actual minutes and using then the video as the minutes, but we only hold the video for 5 years. And if the video is our minutes, then that has some challenges and issues, but it's more with the open meetings than this bill per se, because I think that's just open meetings law. So I'm fine with it, how it's written, but just some overall concerns about how we're keeping minutes on open meetings.
Thank you, Delegate Miller. Delegate Griffith.
No, I just want to, my comments, certainly in support of the bill. I love how the bill was written and drafted. Certainly, the great chair of ENT worked very hard on this, was very thoughtful, and I'm grateful for all his hard work on this wonderful bill. No, I don't know bills in ENT this year. That's not true.
Yeah, I was about to say you must be trying to get something moved at ENT.
No, I'm just saying, I think it's a very thoughtful bill. I liked it the way it was originally drafted, but I understand why we're going this direction, and hopefully at some point we can work to get the full scope of the bill sorted out. So, but I appreciate the effort in the bill.
Delegate Fair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And my only question is regarding the fiscal note. A few county boards of education weighed in. Were we able to follow up with them and find out if the bulk of their concerns regarding the financial issues or the cost of implementing this program was around the Canvas? And so does this amendment essentially wipe out the fiscal note to the bill?
And to my knowledge, I don't believe that there was direct follow-up with those local boards, but Jared may be able to speak to that. But just from their testimony, it seems like most of the concerns and the costs were for the Canvas rather than for the meetings. So this should certainly, I don't think would eliminate the fiscal note, but it should significantly reduce it. Is that correct, Jared?
I agree with Stan's assessment on that one there, because the meetings themselves are usually in a government building. They're in one location, and sometimes they can have access to those cameras there. It's the Canvas, because those are not, they're in other locations. So yes, I think that it would significantly reduce the fiscal note, but maybe not completely eliminate it.
And my only other comment or question would be Disability Rights Maryland weighed in on this and wanted to make sure that disability access was granted to make sure that we have a closed captioning option inside of the video as we're taking those videos. So just not really a question, just more of a statement that I'm sure that the Board of Elections would be very thoughtful about making sure that our disability community has access to be able to watch these videos. And Madam Chair, if it's appropriate, I'm happy to make a motion to approve the amendments.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any further discussion on the amendments? Seeing none, all those in favor of the amendments to House Bill 412, please say aye or raise your hand. Any opposed? The ayes have it. The amendments have been added to House Bill 412. Now on the bill as amended.
Move favorable.
Second.
It's been moved and proper seconded. Any further discussion on House Bill 412? Seeing none, all those in favor of moving forward House Bill 412, favorable with amendments, please raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. So we are moving House Bill 412 to full committee with amendments. Thank you, colleagues, and thank you, Chair Corman.
Thank you all. Bye.
All right, thanks. All right. Moving on to the next bill, House Bill 322, Election Law, State Administrator of Elections, Municipal Elections. And this bill also has amendments. This was the bill by Delegate Wims that codifies the ability of the State Administrator of Elections to enter into an MOU with municipalities to allow the two entities to work collaboratively on the municipal elections. There are amendments to this bill, and Stan, if you can go over the amendments, please.
Sure. So the First Amendment has to do with just clarifying the authority of the state administrator to lease the voting system or any other equipment that's used to administer an election to a municipality for use in its municipal election. And it would provide that the administrator determines the terms and conditions of the lease, and also the proceeds of the lease would be distributed to the Fair Campaign Financing Fund. The amendments repeal some obsolete language relating to the local boards leasing the voting system. That's just not correct because the voting system is owned by the state, so it's not the local boards that are doing the lease. There's also some provisions about getting on the state ballot. So under current law, municipalities can request to have their elections included on the state ballot. They have to make that request 18 months before the filing deadline for the election, the candidate filing deadline. So the amendments change that to 9 months because the state board advised that 9 months is perfectly feasible for them. And then the amendments also clarify that this was already the case, but if a municipality wants to have their election included on the state ballot, they pretty much have to follow all of the state's laws and procedures regarding the conduct of the election. So that includes deadlines for things like filing certificate of candidacy, but the amendments clarify that it also would include that they have to follow state law on voter registration and voting procedures. And again, that would already have been the case, but this is just making that clear.
Thank you, Stan. Any questions or discussion? So let's add the amendments to the bill and then we can discuss more when we have the bill as amended. I would like to entertain a motion on the amendments.
I move favorable on the amendments, Madam Chair.
Second.
The amendments have been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion on the amendments? Hearing none, all those in favor of the amendments to House Bill 322, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed to the amendments? All right, the ayes have it. House Bill 322 has been amended. Let's entertain another motion and then we can have discussion if there is any. Do we have a motion, Delegate Feldman?
Madam Chair, I'd like to move favorable on the bill as amended, please.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion on 322 as amended?
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes, sure.
Thank you. Just a question for Jared. I noticed that in section 9105, we've added this section in and then deleted the language around the rights of local boards to lease out to governmental or non-governmental entities. Is this kind of a cleanup language component to this bill?
Yes, Stan and I has worked on that. It was outdated. As he'd mentioned before, we own all the equipment, and then the MOUs will be able to do that. They can't lease it. So that provision is no longer needed.
Gotcha. Thank you so much.
Delegate Miller.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to clarify again with the changes, that still, if you do have a municipality that is allowing non-citizens, as some do, that they would not be allowed to lease or use the state equipment.
They would definitely not be able to be coming onto the state ballot because
Okay.
of all that. You know, if they use our equipment and they run their elections, they would just be basically leasing, you know, for example, like the voting system or the tabulation, the scanner. We wouldn't be running or doing anything with their election whatsoever. But
And they wouldn't be changing the metrics or anything like that of the machines or anything like that?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Miller. Any further discussion on House Bill 322 as amended? Okay, seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of House Bill 322 with amendments, raise your hand or say aye. Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. House Bill 322 moves forward favorable with amendments to full committee. I do want to mention, we don't have it on our list today, but as a heads up, on the voting list this evening for our full committee, We will have House Bill 586, which deals with election law, election judges' compensation. That's the bill from Delegate Dana Jones that ensures that we pay our election judges after they actually complete their service on election day or early voting, to make sure that those funds are going to people who follow through with actually serving. And it also includes the provision regarding a public school student earning SSL hours and being able to receive the election judge compensation. That's a provision that we included in a bill last year. That provision did not make it through the Senate. And so we're coming back a second time. So I just wanted to flag that will be in full coming from election law. If there's anything else for the good of the order, thank you so much for your time and helpful comments. I'll see everyone in committee later.